Welcome to this week's episode of Kidlet 6. Each week we get to spend 6 minutes together connecting with authors, hearing about great books, celebrating book birthdays, and lots of other book fun. As a reminder, all the books that are mentioned are listed down below, so if you hear about a book that sounds interesting, you can look down there to get all the information.
Hi Kidlet 6, my name is Rebecca Barone and I'm the author of Race to the Bottom of the Earth, Surviving Antarctica. So this is a nonfiction book. It's narrative nonfiction, which means everything in it is true, but it reads like any other story. And this is an adventure story. It's actually two adventures, two races. The first race is about the first people to reach the South Pole, about 1912. And the second race is from much closer to our time, 2018, when an American, Colin O'Brady, and an Englishman, Lou Rudd, raced to become the first people to traverse Antarctica solo, unaided, and unsupported. So who wins these races? Do they survive Antarctica? Read and find out. I'd also like to recommend a book that I'm in the middle of reading, Curse of the Mummy, Uncovering Tutankhamun's Tomb by Candace Fleming. So I'm in the middle of this one, and it's about the adventure to find King Tut's tomb in the Valley of the Kings in the early 1900s, and whether, if there really is, a curse on anyone who enters the tomb. It's pretty good. Thanks Kidlet 6 for having me. I'm so glad to recommend these books to your readers. Hope you enjoy.
This week's Kidlet 6 book of the week is Elvis, Me, and the Lemonade Stand Summer. This book takes place in 1978 and is the story of 11-year-old Truly. It's been a year since most people believe that Elvis died, but Truly's not convinced of that. She's even more convinced that he's alive when someone moves into their trailer park that looks and acts exactly like Elvis. She's certain that Elvis is alive, but no one's thought to look for him in a trailer park in an indigenous reserve on Vancouver Island. It's a busy summer for Truly because she's convinced that this is Elvis and she wants to prove it. She also has some goals that are going to need some money. The problem is, Truly's mom is not so big on being a mom. She spends a lot of time smoking and drinking and chasing her next boyfriend. And so Truly decides she's going to start a lemonade stand in an effort to raise money for her goals. Between the lemonade stand and trying to prove that this is the real Elvis, Truly has a very busy summer. If you've been thinking about starting a business this summer, this is a great book to read for some inspiration about maybe a small business you can try this summer. Book first comes out is called its publication date, but it can also be called its book birthday, and since that's a lot more fun, we're going to go with that. So let's get ready to celebrate a few of this week's book birthdays. First up is Camp Famous. Think Princess Diaries meets Harriet the Spy. 11-year-old Abby has had kind of a rough year. She's struggled with friendships and she desperately wants to go to summer camp because she is certain she'll be able to find her BFF. And surprise, her parents decide to let her go. What she doesn't realize until just before she's leaving for camp is that she's not going to any ordinary summer camp. No, she's going to Camp Famous, a camp for famous kids. Only one little problem. Abby's not exactly famous. She's just a regular kid. And so she goes undercover and pretends to be a famous author. Will she be able to find the one thing she's always wanted at camp, a best friend? Or will she find herself torn between who she's pretending to be and who she really is? Next up is The Natural Genius of Ants. Ever since Harvard's dad made a mistake at work at the hospital, he's just not been himself. He's quiet, he doesn't like to leave the apartment, and he sleeps a lot. So Harvard's dad decides to take Harvard and his little brother Roger away for the summer. They're going to go to Kettle Hole, Maine, which is where his dad grew up. He's thinking that maybe some time in his hometown will help him begin to feel like himself again. When they get there, his dad decides that they need a summer project. And so they decide they're going to build an ant farm. Will the ant farm help bring their family back together and help his dad feel more like himself again? Or will the ant farm just go terribly wrong? Next up is Dear Friends. Eleni is the kind of person who's always had a best friend at her side. And Sylvie has been her best friend since before they were even born. And then the end of year party happens and they're no longer friends. Melanie cannot picture starting middle school without her best friend, and how in the world will she face the school overnight trip without a best friend by her side? So with the trip approaching, she decides to figure out exactly what went wrong and how to get her best friend back. The best way to celebrate a book birthday is by reading the book. So head to your local library or nearest bookstore and pick up your copy of these books today. If you're persistent in your suggestions for a summer vacation to your parents, you just might get to go on the vacation. Do you think you can create your own sentence with the word persistence? Try creating your own sentence and then share it with us on social media at Kidlit6 or post it in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this episode of Kidlit6. We'd love to hear from you about what you're reading right now. You can email us at the address listed below, or you can comment below with the books you're reading right now. Have a great week and happy reading.